Hi everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at a Warhammer 40,000 Codex Adeptus Mechanicus that was kindly sent as a complimentary review copy by Games Workshop and features maybe the most disturbing body horror army in 40k. This is like, just look at this cover. Just look at this guy's arms. Look at his body. Look at what used to be a man. Right? Like there's a human in there. Yeah, going through this codex again, I forgot that this is probably the most, like, these faces are all screaming about the fact that the science wing of humanity has become a bunch of demons, a bunch of absolute monsters. So this is, of course, following all the new formats for 10th edition codexes. We have our background section, color section, comp patrol section, your actual forces and data slates, which again, I'm not going to go through today. There's one new one I'll go through just to like talk about it because it's a new release. And then the rest of them, people that are way more familiar with 40k will give you their opinions on. I'm here to talk about the book itself and the cool themes that run inside of it and kind of like the artistic side, not necessarily the rules mechanical side because I don't care about that stuff. And then the Crusade rules, which I do care about quite a bit actually. So those are the rules I'll probably spend the most time on. Nah, probably the detachments will be the part I spend the most time on. So the first part of the section, obviously, Disciples of the Machine God. This is all about the role these folks are playing in the last 10,000 years of the Imperium of Man and how they've gone both backwards and forwards. They were a bit progressive before the Horus Heresy. They are now body horror, like Tetsuo the Machine Man. Yeah, it's very bad. It's very gross. And when you see, even some of the rules are reflective of this. They have lost most of their humanity. And the way they prosecute war is horrifying. Like, why would you leave his face on? Just take the skull out. Like, why the face? Why is that still there? Why did we need to see that? I didn't need to see that, certainly. That's a nightmare. It's going to give you background on all the Forge Worlds if you don't have this already. And, of course, showcase of all the cool, pretty models. I will say, if you'd asked 1998 me whether or not the Adeptus Mechanicus was going to be one of the weirdest, most 40k armies, I would have said probably not. And then they did this. These are some truly cool, weird, like, of all the factions, I think, in 40k, these ones lean the most into what makes 40k weird and punk rock still. People call it over the top. Man, I love this stuff. I love the look and feel of this, like, sort of weirdly martial, and yet, like, there's an actual 80s sci-fi movie that has this guy in it, and it's incredible. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. You can see a poster for it. It's incredible. It was like a RoboCop knockoff almost with a tank man. Yeah, anyway, models are fantastic and can't say enough good things about them. I love how weird they are. I love how retro-futuristic everything is. And yet also horrifying if you look at the art in the background for them. So let's go on to Comp Patrol. Okay, so Comp Patrol, I would actually paint these guys because this is like a very cool selection of miniatures from this range that don't get a lot of love because mostly it's just the cool shooty stuff that gets the love, obviously, when people are playing this game. But I love the weird sulfur hounds and sterilizers. Like, when you actually understand the background for them, how they're just trying to eradicate all the things that aren't machine so that the Magi can get at the machine stuff to study it. And then this guy, the Manipulus, like, he's just such a perfectly weird, like, there's nothing cool and heroic about him. He's this, like, corpulent, like, he's got like a weird, like, beaker on his back. Like, he's the most weirdly non-heroic thing, and he's steepling his fingers like Mr. Burns. He's an absolute supervillain floating above the ground like Baron Harkonnen. And then these guys, the Vanguard, oh my God, the way they prosecute war is absolutely horrifying. So that I like that selection, and obviously I think they're a bit different in the scheme of the Comp Patrol stuff, so I would definitely give them a try. They don't lean into the detachment stuff as much as some of the other Comp Patrols do, so you're really just doing your imperatives. Protector is, if you're in a deployment zone, you get heavy, and you worsen armor penetration by 1, and the Conqueror one is your ranged weapons get assault. And each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack, you'd improve it by 1. So they kind of flip from like offensive to defensive. Man, first of all, just way easier. Way easier than the way this used to be with like a D6 roll or a table, and you had to pick a different one. And it's a cool selection of models, so I think for getting started, it's a cool Comp Patrol. All right, and we're in the forces section. So the army rule, again, exact same doctrine imperative. You don't really get a detachment rule. but you get this same as in the comm patrol for your whole army, is if you can defend, then you start the battle round, you decide if you're going to be one worse AP and all your guns are heavy, and then conquer, ranged weapons in the models units have assault, and you make a ranged attack, your AP gets better when they're within your opponent's deployment zone. If the target's in your opponent's deployment zone. So it's just like shooting across the battlefield. Okay, I think this is the detachment that was published originally, the first 10th edition detachment. And I hadn't read too much on these guys, so the shocking, like, the absolute war crime that is the Red Zone Corps is horrifying. Basically, they neutron bomb your opponent's deployment zone at the start of the game. And, yeah, on Battle Round 1, on a 3+, any unit in your opponent's deployment zone, at the start of the first battle round, your opponent must decide whether they will take cover or stand firm. If they stand firm, on a 3+, they take D3 mortal wounds. If they take cover until the end of the round, that unit's battle shocked, and on a 5+, takes D3 mortal wounds. So basically, you can make it easier on yourself, but you automatically count as battle shocked, which means you can't hold objectives. That's horrifying. And then round 2 onwards, at the start of your command phase, during the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th battle rounds, roll D6 for each enemy unit in your opponent's deployment zone. On a 3+, to take a mortal wound and must make a battle shock test. So, like, you just have the most unstable, unreliable army ever in your deployment zone if you're fighting this. And it's such a, like, there's often like blobby units or whatever, like low leadership units holding objectives. That is such a fuck you to those units. It's insane. Anyway, enhancements. Radial suffusion. Mechanicus model only. From the 2nd battle round onward, when resolving the fallout effects of the rad bombardment. If the bear, roll D6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of your opponent's deployment zone, in addition to those that are within your deployment zone. So basically, you're extending the range of that stuff. Malphonic Susurrus. Mechanicus only. While the bear is leading a unit, they have stealth. Peerless Eradicator, Mechanicus model only. While the bear is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in the unit have sustained hits 1. And Autoclavic Denunciation, Mechanicus model only. Ranged weapons equipped by the bear have anti-infantry 2+, and anti-monster 4+. Basically, be good at shooting and killing. Give an extra like hit on 6s to your unit if you're in it, or give them stealth. All right, so Baleful Halo. So you've got 2 CP ones and 4 1 CP ones. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are battle tactics though, so you can do them for free if you've got like that kind of ability in your army. Baleful Halo is when the fight phase, just after an enemy unit selected its target. The target's a Mechanicus unit from your army that's not vehicle, that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. If it's battle line, you can also target one friendly Skitarii unit within 6 of it, so you can double down. Effect until the end of the phase. Each time an attack targets one of those units from your army, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So, -1 to wound. You throw up basically like a kind shield. And then Extinction Order. This is when your command phase. The target's a Tech Priest from your army that has an objective marker within 24 of the model. And the effect is roll a d6 for each enemy unit within range of that model, of that objective marker, sorry. On a 4+, they take a mortal wound and must make a battle shock test. So you can kind of like throw out that rad bombardment area to them. And then Aggressor Imperative for 1 CP in your movement phase. A Skitarii unit from your army that's not been selected to move that phase yet. If the unit's battle line, you can select 1 friendly Skitarii unit, excluding battle line units, within 6. So basically, the battle line units can aura off onto the non-battle line Skitarii. And the effect is until the end of the phase, each time one of those unit advances, they just add 6 automatically. Pre-calibrated Purge Solution. Let's get a Purge from the Purge planet. When you're shooting phase, target one Adeptus Mechanicus unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. If the target's battle line, yada yada, you can take a non-Skitarii within 6 to go with it. And the effect is until the end of the phase. Each time a model in one of those units makes a ranged attack, if the target of that attack is within your opponent's deployment zone, you can reroll the hit roll. So more of this like shooting across table to your opponent's deployment zone. Your opponent's deployment zone becomes incredibly hostile against this army. Lethal Dosage, when you're shooting phase, target one Adeptus Mechanicus unit from your army that's not been selected to shoot this phase. And the effect is, until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in the unit have lethal hits. And then Bulwark Imperative. When your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has been selected, has selected its targets, the target's a Skitarii unit from your army, and it'll aura off on a non-Skitarii within 6. Sorry, non-battle line Skitarii within 6. And they get a 4+ invulnerable. So for 2 CPs, buy a 4+ invulnerable. For 2 CPs, you get -1 to wound, and then those are both basically the like, the opposite of each other, because this one's a shooting one, this one's a fight one, and the rest are all kind of like enhancer units or make someone make a battle shock test. All right, the Skitarii Hunter Corps. So this is for all your like, what are they called? Your stalkers units and your cavalry and stuff like that. So Skitarii Infantry Mounted and Iron Strider Ballistari units from your army have the stealth ability. Each time a ranged attack targets a Psycheran model unit from your army, unless the target's model is within 12, then they have the benefit of cover. They just disappear. Your enhancements are the Cantic Thrall Net. It's for marshals only. At the end of the battle round, you can select one friendly Skitarii unit from your army that's within 12. Until the end of the next battle round, the Protector Imperative and the Conqueror Imperative are both active for that unit. That's cool. So you get both. Clandestine Infiltrators, Skitarii models only. The bearer and the models in that unit they are leading have Infiltrators and Scout 6. Wow. Veiled Hunter, marshals only. After both players have deployed their armies and determined who has the first turn, you can select up to 3 Skitarii infantry units from your army and to redeploy all those units. When you're doing so, any of those units can be placed in strategic reserve regardless of how many units are already there. So just disappear. And then Battle Sphere Uplink, Skitarii models only. In your shooting phase, after the bearer's unit's shot, if it's not within engagement range, it can make a normal move up to 6. If it does, though, it cannot declare a charge. So this is the like Skitarii infantry blob, basically. -1 hit and being in cover all the time for everybody that's at 12 is pretty great. And then Bionic Endurance is your first of your 6 different strats. The only one that's 2 is the Binaric Offensive. So Binaric Offense. So Bionic Endurance, it's when your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy has selected its targets. The target's either a Psycheran, Taraxi, or Sidonian unit from your army that was selected as the target, and you get 5+ feel no pain. The Binaric Offense one, when Binaric Offense, I think is what it's supposed to be for like binary, for code. At the start of your shooting phase or start of your fight phase, 2 Skitarii units from your army that have not been selected to shoot or fight. You can pick 2 units, then 1 other unit. The effect is until the end of the phase, improve your arm penetration of your weapons by 1. And the restrictions until the end of the phase, each time a model in the unit makes an attack, you can only target that enemy unit. So basically, you gang up 2 Skitarii units on a single unit. Expedited Protocol. For 1 CP, it's in your charge phase for a Skitarii unit. Until the end of the phase, they can charge you if they advance. So for your cav, that's really good. Isolate and Destroy, or for your stalkers, actually, too. Isolate and Destroy for your shooting phase for a Psycheran, Taraxi, Sidonian, Iron Strider, Ballistari, or Skitarii mounted unit that hasn't shot yet. The effect is until the end of the phase. Each time model in your unit makes an attack. If there's no enemy units within 6, the unit, they add 1 to the wound roll. So basically, if you're free of like encumbrance, you get +1 to wound. Shroud Protocols for 1 CP. When your shooting phase, just after an enemy unit selected its targets, target 1 Skitarii infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more attacks. And the effect is until the end of the turn. Your unit can only be selected as the target if the attacking model is within 12. So you basically just disappear. You almost become like a lone operative. And then Programmed Withdrawal for 1 CP. When, at the end of your opponent's fight phase, the target's up to 2 Psycheran units from your army, or 1 Skitarii unit or Skitarian mounted unit, and then remove them from the battlefield and put them in strategic reserve. And the restriction is each unit targeted with this stratagem must be more than 3 from all enemy units. So you have to disappear, basically, before you're being pounced on. All right, the Crazies, the Electromans. This is the Data Som Conclave. These are the ones that like chant the Binaric hymn rolls and shoot lightning from their hands. So at the start of the first battle round, you have the Benedictions of the Omnissiah. You have to choose 1 to be active for your army until the end of the battle. So you can choose one of these 2 things. The Panegyric Procession. Each time a Cult Mechanicus model from your army makes a ranged attack, the target's enemy unit within half range. Its AP goes down by 1, so you're -1. Incitation and Savagery. Each time a Cult Mechanicus unit from your army is selected as, to fight, if that unit makes a charge move this turn until the end of the phase, add 1 to its strength and attacks characteristic. So you either get +1 strength and attack on the charge, or your AP gets improved. So you may shoot your army or fighting army. And then you get 4 different enhancements. So the first one's Tech Priest only. The bear has a leadership characteristic of 6+, and once per battle at the start of any phase, you can select 1 friendly Cult Mechanicus unit that's battle shocked to no longer be battle shocked, and within 12. Sorry. The Mantle of the Gnosticarch, yeah, Tech Priest only. Each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, change the damage characteristic of the attack to 1. And then data, which is cool because you have a lot of low wound tech priests, obviously. Data blessed auto sermon for a tech priest model. Once per battle at the start of your command phase, you can select the benediction of the Omnissiah. You did not select at the start of the first battle round. Until the end of the command phase, the benediction is active in addition to the one currently active. So whatever unit you're leading, you get both these things. And then Tempercopia, you fight first. You and your unit fight first. And then we got the Incantation of the Iron Soul. These are all 1 CP. There's no 2 CP abilities in this whole army. So for when, any phase, just after you allocate a mortal wound to the Cult Mechanicus model army, and that's the Cult Mechanicus model's unit, until the end of the phase, you get a 4+ against mortal wounds. The Chant of the Remorseless Fist in the fight phase, 1 Cult Mechanicus that has not yet fought, and you get +1 to wound for melee attacks. Then it's Verse of Vengeance, which is when the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets a Cult Mechanicus unit from your army that was selected as the target of an attack, and then the effect is basically a 4+ fight. So you can 4+ either shoot back or fight back. And then you get removed from play. Tribute of Emphatic Veneration. So your movement phase, 1 target, select a Cult Mechanicus unit from your army and an enemy within 18. They have to make a battle shock test and they're -1 to hit if it's failed. That's amazing. So basically, they won't be scoring. They'll be objective control 0 and then -1 to hit for a CP. I'd be doing that one every single round. Some armies will be punished by that. Litany of the Electromancer. It's in your shooting phase for a Cult Mechanicus unit. The effect is roll 1d6 for each enemy model within 6 of a Cult Mechanicus model. Adding 1 if they're an Electro Priest, and on a 5+, take D3 mortal wounds. You like Velociraptor electrify the fence. And then Luminescent Blessing for a CP, your opponent's shooting phase. Just after an enemy unit's been selected as a target, has selected its targets. On the target's a Cult Mechanicus, you get a 4+ invul. So basically you can turn on your deflector shield. Then we have the Explorator Maniple. I love this one. I think it's my favorite because it leans the most into, well, what's the Mechanicus trying to do? It's trying to take your electronic stuff. It wants to steal all of your technology. So this detachment rule is acquisition at any cost. At the start of your command phase, just pick an objective marker. Until the start of your next command phase, that objective marker is your acquisition objective marker. Each time an Adeptus Mechanicus model in your army makes an attack, if that model's unit's within range of your acquisition marker, or if the target is within range of the acquisition marker, add reroll wound rolls of 1. So it can power you up if you're standing on it, or it can like help you remove target like models that are on the enemy ones. And then you got 4 enhancements. They're all just the name that you give a tech priest. It's like a rank. So Magus, which is tech priest models. At the end of your command phase, if the bearer is within range of the acquisition marker, on a 4+ gain a CP. Janitor, tech priest model only. If the bearer is leading a unit that's within range of the acquisition objective, you get a 4+ invul. So that's pretty great. Logis, while the bearer is leading a unit, each model in that unit makes an attack that targets a unit within range of an acquisition marker, add 1 to the hit roll. And then Artisan, while the bearer is leading a unit that's within range of your acquisition objective marker, once per phase, you can change the result of a hit roll, wound roll, or saving throw to 6. Those are all pretty great. I think the Janitor one's pretty amazing. Just have a 4+ invul. Just sit on the home base and have a 4+ invul. Cached Acquisition is your first of your 6 command abilities, and we've got 1 2 CP1, Auto Oracular Retrieval. So Cached Acquisition, it's an epic deed. It's in any phase, a target is an Adeptus Mechanicus unit from your army that was destroyed while it was within range of an objective marker that you controlled. You can use a stratagem even though that unit was destroyed, and the effect is the objective marker remains under your control, even if you have no models within range of it until your opponent starts or ends control of it. So basically, you kind of obsec control something after you die. Priority Reclamation for a CP in the fight phase just before a Mechanicus unit from your army consolidates. The target is that Mechanicus unit. The effect is until the end of the phase, each time you make a consolidate move, you can move up to 6 instead of 3, providing you end within range of the acquisition objective marker. That can be really clutch for taking one, especially if you're like being held off it for whatever reason, or if you ride from like reserves. And then Restriction, you cannot target a unit with a stratagem if it's more than 3 from 1 or more enemy units. If it's within 3, so you can't pull yourself out of combat with it. An Info Slave Skull in your command phase. Targets a tech priest model from your army and 1 objective marker within 24, excluding your acquisition marker. And then the effect is until start your next command phase, that objective marker is also be considered acquisition. A Auto Oracular Retrieval for 2 CPs. When you're shooting phase, target one Mechanicus unit from your army that is disembarked from a transport this turn. And the effect is until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit within range of your acquisition marker, +1 to wound. So not just reroll ones, but also +1 to wound. And then incense exhausts. So imagine you're piloting vehicles and they make the exhausts smell nice because you think that machines are God. When your opponent's shooting phase just after the unit has selected its targets, the target is a Mechanicus infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target, and one friendly Mechanicus smoke unit within 6. So it's all your vehicles. And the effect is, well, not all of them, but the transports for the most part. And the effect is you get stealth and benefit from cover. Then you get a reactive safeguard for 1 CP. It's your opponent's charge phase just after they've declared a charge. The target's a Mechanicus infantry unit from your army that's within range of your acquisition marker and was selected as the target, and a friendly transport. Your unit can embark on the transport. And the restriction is every model in your unit must be within 3 of the transport to be able to do it, and it has to have sufficient capacity to hold them. Very neat. And then finally, the big robots, the Cohort Cybernetica. They get, as their detachment rule, Cybersom programming. They gain Doctrina Imperatives army rule. So basically they get smart enough to be able to follow the bonuses and negatives of offense or defense. You get Necromechanic. I love the fact that they're using dead bodies because they can't make thinking machines. Tech Priest model only. Once per battle round, when a saving throw is made for a friendly Legio Cybernetica or Adeptus Mechanicus vehicle model within 12 of the bearer, and it's failed, you go to damage 0. So basically, once per battle round. Not once per battle, once per battle round. You can just make an attack damage 0. Lord of Machines, Tech Priest model only. Once per turn at the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select one enemy vehicle unit within 12 and visible the bearer. That unit must make a leadership test. If the test is passed until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. And if it's failed, the unit just can't shoot. You just screw them up. And then Emotionless Clarity, Tech Priest model only. Once per turn, when a friendly Legio Cybernetica or Adeptus Mechanicus vehicle model with the Deadly Demise ability that's within 12 of the bearer is destroyed, you don't have to roll for it, it just does it. Because he doesn't care. He just blows them up. And then Arch Negator, Tech Priest model only, ranged weapons equipped by the bearer have anti-vehicle 4+. So then we've got the 6 of your stratagems, all for 1 CP, none of them are 2 this time around. You get the Motive Imperative in your command phase for a vehicle unit. Until the start of your next command phase, add 3 to its move, and +1 to its advance and charge rolls. The Auto Divinatory Targeting. In your command phase, 1 Legio Cybernetica or Adeptus Mechanicus vehicle unit from your army and an objective marker. And the effect is, until the start of your next command phase, ranged weapons equipped with this model have a BS of 3+ and ignore cover, but they can only target things within range of that objective. So you just basically pick that objective you want to clear and then judge them up. Machine Spirit Resurgent in your command phase, 1 Legio Cybernetica or Adeptus Mechanicus vehicle unit from your army that's below its starting strength. And the effect is until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. If your unit's below half strength, you can reroll the wound roll as well. The Machine Superiority in your command phase, target 1 Legio Cybernetica or Mechanicus vehicle unit. And the effect is until the end of the turn, unit's eligible to shoot a turn in which it fell back and can ignore any and all modifiers to its characteristics and or to any roll being made. Excluding saving throws. They did catch that out for you. Transcendent Cogitation in your command phase, 1 Legio Cybernetica or Adeptus Mechanicus vehicle unit, and the effect is until your next command phase. The Conquer Imperative and Protector Imperative are both active, and Benevolence of the Omnissiah for, again, vehicles or Legios Cybernetica. And the effect is until the start of your next command phase, models in this unit have Feel No Pain 6+, which is improved to 5+ against mortal wounds. So it's a very cool big robots and vehicles army, which I'm excited about. I think that's very neat. That they've basically given you, like, what models do you like? Now, these example armies, there's 2 things here that I'm interested in talking about. One, I love that this is the most Blanchett suit army. With the exception of these kind of studio paint jobs by Philip, I don't know why they don't give studio members last names. Like, come on, let these guys have some notoriety for having been made these cool armies. We've got Philip, Dan, and Duncan, and we don't know their last names, so we don't actually know who they are. Anyway, Dan has this wonderfully grimy, like, I love the, like, little, almost like was it a heartbeat monitor lines on their faces, or a little like electrostatic engram. And they've done this wonderful sort of like grimy paint scheme. And then these guys are just pure Planchitsu, these Vanguard. Really well done. So whoever Dan and Duncan are, I mean, Phil, your paint jobs are nice, but they're very studio-y. The Planchitsu-iness, the like grimy grim darkness of these two studio paint jobs are fantastic, and I wish they gave us your last names. So if I ever met you, I could give you a beer, as opposed to having to buy every Dan and Duncan that I meet from now on a beer, which I'm not doing. I'd go completely out of money, like within minutes in any kind of convention. All right, data slates. Again, I'm not going to go through all these just because I'm not interested in doing that. I want to talk about the Sidonian Skatros, though. Mr. Extendo Legs, he's appropriately weird. Like, some people kind of like dunked on this thing, but I'm gonna be honest, I love when they make weird shit like this. I think it's very cool. He's basically like a big standy-uppy sniper man, and I love his miniature. I think he's so cool. I want to paint him for, I hope he's in Kill Team at some point. I hope when they make a cool Mechanicus Kill Team, this guy's in it, because he's a perfect Kill Team model. Weird lone operative. Move 8, because of course, because he's got big long legs. T4, 4+ save that goes with the 5+ invul. 4 wounds, just a little baby character. But of course he has lone operative and stealth. Leadership 7+, and 1 objective control. He's got the Doctrine Imperatives as his faction role, and of course lone operative and stealth. He's a dread sniper. In your shooting phase, if you after this model's shot, select an enemy hit by 1 or more attacks, they make a battle shock test. An Achillean Eye. Each time this model makes an attack with a Radium Jezzail that targets an infantry unit, you can reroll the wound roll. Each time this model targets shoots its Skatros Transuranic Arquebus against a monster vehicle, reroll the wound roll. So he's got 2 different guns for 2 different targets. And he's equipped with a Mechanicus pistol, a Radium Jezzail, and Sidonian Feet. And the option is he can have a Transuranic Arquebus instead. He cannot be your warlord, and he's Skitarii and Sidonian Skatros, so he qualifies for a bunch of strats and stuff too. But his Radium Jezzail is anti-infantry 3+, heavy precision, so you can kill characters with it. 1 shot, 3+, strength 5, -2, and 3 damage. And then the anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4+, heavy precision. So because they're heavy, if he doesn't move, right, he's going to get to hit on 2s with all of these. And then good at killing stuff. His Sidonian Feet have 3 attacks and 4+, strength 3. He kicks you. I don't know. I love this guy. I think he's just weird and cool. I like that they've got their own little assassin sniper. He's a little Vindicare assassin, but he's Mechanicus. I think that's super cool. So let's talk about Crusade. Again, because I'm not going to bother talking about points today because points are the most changey part of 40K. In fact, there's a little QR code now in all the point sections in the codexes that just says, you can use these if you want, if you and your opponent agree, but they're probably not going to be the same for very long, so just go to this QR code and get your current point value. I do appreciate that. Now, the Crusade section for this codex is hilarious because it's all about stealing stuff and finding stuff. All your agendas unlock more stuff, and you have to decide what it's going to be. It can be a power source or an archaeotech part. If it's a power source, you can combine it with another archaeotech to complete an item. So basically, if you find one of these 3, you need a power source to make it work, and that's your goal, is to pair up these things with these things, and then they become either a weapon, a force field, or a piece of Techno Arcana, and then you find out what kind of random one it is. And then Tech Priest heroes, excluding Epic heroes, can be issued these pieces of like Techno Arcana. So a weapon could be something like a Neural Jammer, 18-inch range, 4 attacks, 3+, strength 4, -2, 1 damage, but with devastating wounds, pistol precision. Or an Arc Annulus. It's anti-vehicle 3+ pistol. Strength. It's got 12-inch range, 2 attacks, 3, strength 7, -1, 2 damage. Just weird, cool stuff. Or force fields, you know, like a Void Shell. You got 2+ invul to start any phase. Just use it until the end of the phase. Just 2+ invul. You just turn on your like invulnerability suit. Or a Conversion Eradicator. Improve the strength and armor penetration of your ranged weapons by 1. Just turn on the juice. And then we've got like your Techno Arcana, just weird things like an Obscuropticon. At the start of the battle, select 2 Mechanicus infantry units here, a Crusade army. Each time an enemy unit makes a ranged attack that targets one of these units, the models targeted have a 5+ invulnerable save. Just weird stuff like that. And then if you complete the overall arcs, you can get legendary archaeotech like the Doom of Therantis. Once you're about at the end of your movement phase, select an enemy vehicle with an 18 invisible. Until the start of your next movement phase, subtract 2 from attack characteristic of its ranged weapons. And if it takes a normal advance or fallback or charge move, it suffers D6 mortal wounds. Because you just like hack it basically, and it starts to go crazy. And then like your agendas are things like Cold Logic, Skitarii units, destroy enemy units. and they qualify like they do it with the Protector Imperative or the Conqueror Imperative. And the requisitions are things like Assemble Architect, costs an RP, and you can put together the pieces that you find during the game. And then you get cool battle traits, like a Cortex Controller. You can roll battleship tests for when you're leading a unit, or infantry units can enhance bionics. So if it's like a 4+ invul, and if this unit has the Battle Line or Cataphren unit, it gets 5+ instead. And then Hardened Machine Spirits for your vehicle units. You ignore any and all modifiers to their characteristics. And then you get cool additional Antiquity Relics, Artificer Relics, and Legendary Relics on top of that, like the Auto Caduceus of Arcan Lands. You find like lands are Auto Caduceus. Once your battle, when a different friendly Adeptus Mechanicus model within 6 of the bears is destroyed, you can roll a d6 at the end of the phase instead of triggering any rules for destroying it. On a 3+, set it back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was, but not with engagement, with up to 6 wounds remaining. And that's it. Beautiful John Blanche Mechanicus spreadsheet here at the end. And of course the back, I've obscured the code because you need these books now. If you want to use the app, obviously, with these books in it, then you need to have a code that comes in the back of this book. And as of today, I'm sure all that stuff's locked. So I hope yesterday you went and downloaded all your data sheets if you didn't have them already. And we're 10th edition codexes now, I think through, this is what, Q4? For the Mechanicus and Necrons. I don't know, I'm pretty happy with these books. Like, I'm happy I didn't notice, like, obviously people are going to pick apart, there's going to be some changes, but I didn't notice any huge data slate changes. I like that they gave us 6 ways to play the army, each featuring different unit types. I said this in the Necron Codex review too. I like this format for codexes better. I have some criticisms, obviously, of the way that it's locking content behind the wall, where it was free at the beginning of the edition. But overall, hopefully everybody just downloaded that stuff, because for the most part, what you downloaded is going to be kind of the same. It's just the detachments that are going to be different for you to play, and change up how the army works. And I love how this army looks. I should paint a Mechanicus army at some point to like complete my like roster of Imperial armies, because I need to get to the Grey Knights eventually at some point too. The models are super cool. And it looks like they're fun to play. Again, I don't care about their competition value, although I do think there's some very interesting competitive mixes in here from the point of view of like the movement shenanigans, especially in the Necron one, and the ability to like lean into infantry and tanks in this one, which are very cool as well, and like lots of like forced battle shock tests, which are a big deal. And of course, the one that we've already seen, obviously, where you just make the opponent's deployment zone completely inhospitable, is a huge deal too. So that's it. There's my GMG review of Mechanicus, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and I'm into it. Again, I think 10th edition feels like a 1 army per edition one, though, where you're going to pick your army and stick with it for the edition. Hopefully that is something people enjoy, because the stuff's coming out hot and heavy. And I think these armies will have a little bit more depth with like 6 different ways to play them, as long as we keep to that format of having lots of detachment sheets in here. So anyway, big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews. Still in a mash. Happy gaming.